Scott, over 100 million downloads and over 5,000 podcast episodes. Man, how do you keep yourself going in the podcasting world?
No idea, man. And you're a little light. I think it's 150 million, and I think it's 5,282, not to be specific.
I am just now crossing over that 5,000 episodes mark, and I haven't been a huge fan of tracking the metrics. But tell me, when did you first discover podcasting?
I discovered it it was over the Christmas holiday in 2004. And if you recall back that far, back in November, I believe USA Today, and I think it was the New York Times, kind of acknowledged podcasting on a national scale. And they said, here it is. It's something called this RSS feed thing. And I have a picture of me today. I wish I knew I would have brought it. It was me sitting at this very old, small computer in my gym shorts and just looking for something to do online. I was Googling, basically, and I found this thing called a podcast. I said, that's interesting. A podcast. I think maybe I can do that. I have a broadcast background. And I thought, well, I was trying to get into personal growth in my own consulting world. I was trying to build that up, and I just didn't know how to do it. It's when you get into something that requires content and you have no content, that's a hard step. And so I saw it. I walked in the living room. I told my wife, I said, honey, I think I found it. It's called a podcast. And she said, predictably, pod what? Because nobody knew what a podcast was. But I got it. I understood it. And I immediately went back in. I started kind of dealing with it. It took me about 3 months to kind of figure it out because we didn't have WordPress. We didn't have anybody make our RSS feeds. You remember, it was crazy. We had nothing.
Yeah. We were using text-based editors and hand-coding RSS code inside of it and saving it as a .xml file and FTPing it up to our web servers.
Yes, we were. We were doing it all. And it's kind of funny because you know how we second-guess ourselves sometimes? I had done radio 20 years at that point. I wasn't afraid of a microphone. I wasn't afraid of any of this stuff. And all of a sudden, I'm in the studio whispering as if I'm a podcaster, like I was just playing podcast guy, right? Because that's what they were all doing. It's very NPR-ish back in the beginning. Napster-ish, actually, is what it was more like. And I did that for a while, and it felt uncomfortable. So what I ended up doing was I thought I had to launch somehow. So I had this idea in radio to do what was called a 60-second vignette. And you've heard them before, and typically it's a story or something that's 60 seconds long, and there's an ad on it. And they kind of tease you in, they run an ad, they come back, they do the rest of it. And I said, well, I'll make these vignettes, and I'll put them on the radio. So I wrote 260 of them, 5 days a week, one every single day for an entire year. And I had this crazy idea. I said, well, let's make them out a podcast instead. So I did. I just didn't do a commercial. I just created these 60-second podcasts. They ran Monday through Friday, and I launched them. And a funny story, I remember going out, I put them out on the feed. Friday night, I hit live. I went out to TGI Fridays for some dinner, had some Sesame Jack chicken wings, some fries, and a couple of beers. And I came back to about 20 emails saying, my gosh, where have you been? I love you. I love you. I love you. And I was live to the world. And that was it. And game on, because the emails didn't stop coming and I just kept going. That's pretty much how I got the start in that. That's how long I've been doing it.
Do you remember the first podcast that you ever subscribed to?
I'm sure it was it Adam Curry, the source code?
Yeah. That's a common for the early days that was mine as well. Actually, no, mine was This Week in Tech before it was
I was going to say it was one or the other for me right then. Same thing.
Yeah. So mine was Revenge of the Screensavers is what it was originally called. Mm-hmm. It was a bunch of folks that Leo Laporte gathered from This Week in Tech or from the Tech TV days. But yeah, so there was that. And then I heard him talk about Adam Curry. And so I started with the Daily Source Code. And boy, the Daily Source Code, I listened to that every single day. Oh, and then I heard both of them in the same week talk about this guy named Father Roderick von Hogen, who was a Catholic priest from the Netherlands, who was reporting live from the Vatican about who's going to be the new pope back in the day. This is in 2005. And so I'm like, sure, why not? And I started, and to this day, I've never missed an episode of Father Roderick von Hogen's podcast all the way since 2005. And I still listen to Mac Break Weekly every single week I've been listening to Leo every week since 2005.
You are a super fan, man. There's no doubt. I mean, I can't say that. It's interesting. I got into the shows. There was no industry back then, and we didn't know what was going on. And so they were the lifeline to allow us. And then I got an email or a phone or something from Adam one day asking to feature me. And I still have that clip. You may have done that as well. So he was promoting podcasts and he put my original shows on his podcast. I thought I'd made it big time, man, when that happened. But I haven't listened. It's interesting when it comes to listening to a podcast. I'm very hit or miss. I tend to focus on my content. I tend to study a lot, and I'll get into a couple of months of listening, and then I'll just go away for a couple of months and not even keep up with it.
Yeah.
So I just who I am personally.
Well, for me, I used to be an avid podcast listener. It was like most of the content I consumed was that, and I would listen to about 7 different shows every single week without fail, and then occasional shows here and there of other things dashed in there. Since the pandemic, everything has changed. And today, I probably only listen to 3 different podcasts on a consistent weekly basis. Mm-hmm. And it's really only 2 that I don't want to go a week without listening. And that's the 2 that I just mentioned, Father Roderick and Leo Laporte.
Yeah, so my question is that, okay, since the pandemic, a lot has changed. And for you to make that kind of change and go down to 2 podcasts a week, what changed for you?
Clubhouse. Quite frankly, it was Clubhouse. Yeah, so we were all locked in and no interactions, couldn't go to conferences, couldn't speak, didn't do any of that stuff. And the entire globe is looking for ways to connect, and millions upon millions upon millions of people flocked to Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, yeah.
Clubhouse. And it gave us this real live interaction. You could host rooms, people could come in.
Oh, yeah.
And I invested approximately 4 to 8 hours a day, 7 days a week on Clubhouse throughout the pandemic.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
That will eat into your podcast consumption time.
Yeah. What a hot mess that was. And it was a lot of fun until all the marketers took over and kind of killed it. But for me, the pandemic was not Clubhouse, although I think I did one. And I had a bunch of people show up just because I was doing one. But my thing was in the pandemic, I think everybody in California, and this is a joke I do all the time, so if you're in California, please don't get mad at me. I think they all became a life coach and they all got a microphone. I wish I were selling microphones back in 2020 and 2021 because it was like over 1 million new podcasts. It changed. We had so much more volume. Everything grew by 1 million, 1.5 million. And within a couple of years, they were all gone again. So I think just so many voices out there.
Yep. So that's the first thing that shifted my consumption habits. And the second thing that shifted my consumption habits was TikTok. I mean, TikTok is absolutely, hands down, the best curated social media content experience I've ever had since the original days of Twitter without an algorithm. I really miss original Twitter when you could subscribe to the updates of everybody you know who you care about with no ads, no other junk, no promoted content, and you never missed a single update. So you always know what they had on their sandwich for lunch each day. I really miss this very vital, important information.
That's right. I heard their coffee maker in the background. I saw it right there. Yeah, it was real. Yeah, I've never been a TikTok person. I've tried it, and I exited from it because it was so scary. Because it was that addictive. It's good.
It is addictive. And the thing I learned over time, and don't get me wrong, trust me, I've went on the unhealthy side of content consumption on that on a couple of times. But then I'll come out of it, and then I've learned, it's like, okay, this is how I want to approach this. This is the way that I want to train the algorithm. And once I learned that, it's like, man, this is wonderful. But I will say that I am back more towards the podcast consumption time. So for me, I'm back in the place where I listen to about 7 to 15 podcast episodes a week, but they're not. I'm jumping in and out of people's shows here and there. Yeah. It's just you have to have, for me, that personal, like, just I'm sharing who I am, what's going on in my world, and I resonate with you as a host for me to never miss an episode of your show anymore.
Yeah, I think that's always been true. That's one of the best parts of podcasting from the very beginning, and it still is. And that's the performative nature of a podcast, being real, but being able to elevate yourself a little bit so people can understand who you are on the other side of it. and then the good content as well. And so the discovery is the issue. So if you can find them and they resonate with you, and then they're really, you'll stay. We've had people listen every single day to me. Other people, I'm a hot mess. They hate me. But man, some people love me because I really do stay right. I try to do what you're looking for. I try to be who you expect me to be when you show up. I elevate. I get myself ramped up a little bit so I know right to land, right where I need to be. And I'm going to hit it every time best I can, and then I'm done. And I think that's who people listen to now. And I think if you want to stand out right now in podcasting and YouTube, whatever you want to do, you hear this, you got to be real, got to be transparent. You do, but it's an elevated version of you. And the people that can do that, they end up with a really good following because it's a little theater when you think about it, just a little bit.
I definitely understand what you're saying. There's a part of me, Scott, that when I hear there, just a slightly elevated performative nature to it, there's a part of me that says, but do I really have to? But the truth is I know that I would be boring and I would lose people if I didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. You better believe it. Never be yourself.
See, that phrase seems to have two different meanings. Mm-hmm. And so I guess what I'm trying to get at for the nuance for those who might be struggling with and have resistance to what you just said, for example, never be yourself. It's like, no, be yourself, but show up as yourself with a little bit of oomph, with a little added energy to it. So I do have podcaster voice. It's like, oh yeah, I'll go out with the family and every now and then I'll get really, it's like, oh gosh, Dad's talking with his podcaster voice again.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Listen, I've been in radio since I was 18 years old. I can't not have it. I can't pretend to be a podcaster. I'm a broadcaster. And when I open my mouth and I go, and I'm a high energy guy anyway, I have to dial back because I will naturally go over the top. I was a top 40 shock jock for a lot of years. I've got that built into my personality. And when I get the biggest compliments, it's when I run the whole spectrum. It's when I use the soft, when I go over the top, when I give you a little more than you expect. And most people say when I'm up on my podium, just giving it to them, that's when they know it's real because I've turned off the filter.
Yeah.
I'm not saying any bad words, but I've turned off the filter that is really kind of causing, most people hold back on that. I just let it go. And that's when they hear it. And I get all kinds of emails when I do that. Not being mean, not being over the top, just getting inside my head to hear how I'm thinking. I think to me, podcasting these days, and I think in general where we are right now, there's you almost have to you got to see how I came to a conclusion. And so whether I'm energized and up over the top, when I'm starting, like right now, I'm exploring a thought. If you see me on camera, you see me thinking, try to put my thoughts together. You're seeing where my conclusion is coming to. And so you're getting the authentic me trying to figure stuff out. And yet I'm very much aware there's a wall between me and you. And make no mistake, it's an artificial wall. It's called the fourth wall. It's been there, film and TV forever. If you don't elevate enough to break through that wall, you're a boring regular person.
Yeah.
So you need a little bit. Otherwise you're a boring regular person, as we all are.
So Scott, this first show that you did with these daily 60-second bits, Monday through Friday, was that your first show, you said? And what was the name of it that you gave it?
That was called the Motivation to Move Minute.
And that started in 2005.
Right, yeah. I think we launched the first ones in March of 2005.
Is that show still going today?
No, we stopped that show. Although, interestingly, because we were very much involved in fitness, that's where this all started.
Okay.
And I kind of moved beyond that as I got older and didn't want to do push-ups anymore. But that was a good show. But what I ended up doing was, and I've actually considered this, a funny side shoot here is that these days, that 60-second format, I could pull those scripts today and make them into a reel and go boom, 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 boom. And I have considered doing it.
That would be very cool.
Yeah, it's come back around. So what I did back then was, this was, I think, some of the genius of this, if I had any genius. I was just a radio guy, recording, talking, having fun. That's all I was doing.
Yeah.
I recognized that I didn't have any community connection, that the 60 seconds got me emails, but it didn't give me a chance to connect with people. And so I said, well, on the weekend, I'm going to do a weekend show. I'll call it the Motivation to Move Show. And on the weekend, I basically recapped the 5 days up until that point and did a 30-minute show and produced it with music. And I read listener letters. I did all kinds of cool stuff. That was the beginning of the business when I did that. When I connected to that level, that built the community. It built the first courses. It built the first membership sites. It built everything. When I went on the weekend and brought the community into what I was doing, that was huge. And to this day, that's still the thing that works. I just did it last week, 1,000 comments on Instagram last week. All I did was reach into the community and start engaging them. That's all I did. They so want that. But that's where the next step was into that 30-minute weekend show.
Nice. Okay, so it then became, you did it once a week. So it was basically a 6-day-a-week podcast feed. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And it became weekly, and it was still called Motivation to Move. How long did you keep that show running?
I'd have to remember. That show in some way, shape, or form probably ran for, I'm thinking maybe 10 years.
Okay.
Now, we had brought in another show underneath that was part of it, which is the one I still do today. And it came fairly early on because I recognized that the Motivation to Move show, we didn't have ads back then. And we've got agencies and we've run ads all these years. And although back then you really couldn't run ads, you got in trouble if you ran ads. But
tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Nobody. Are you kidding? A podcast is no. They're pure. You can't run an ad on a podcast back in 2008. People didn't like them.
So let's talk about that for just a moment.
Yeah.
You were running in the crowds where that was the prevalent message. Is that correct? In 2007, 2008?
Not to run ads, that message?
Yeah.
People hated it.
So it's fun because there were, I think, 3 different distinct crowds of podcasters. And I happened to be right in the middle. So I certainly had people who were in my network who are internet marketers. It's like, how can we squeeze every penny and get the greatest return on an investment for every single second invested in anything that I do, let alone a podcast. But if I'm going to do a podcast, by golly, I better get paid for it. So I have people who are in that crowd. I had people who are in the crowd exactly like what you just said. This is a pure medium. We are going to avoid screwing this up just like they did with radio and everything else. We must. So that was another. It was like it was the purists. It's like, we've got to protect this. And then there was people who, like me, it's like, listen, I just got into this because I wanted to serve people. And right now I'm at the place where I've got a big enough audience that wants me to consistently create lots of content every week. I have a desire to create all that content, and I would love to leave my day job. And for me to do that, I've got to find some way to earn income and to dabble around with some ads here and there. And for me, I had shows like devoted to the TV show Lost, and my wife and I were podcasting about Grey's Anatomy and Desperate Housewives.
Oh, I forgot about that stuff. You went down that road. I forgot about those shows. Yeah.
So we had
selling out big time, man.
We had hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and Time Warner Cable and DirecTV and Expedia.com and all of these other national brands said, we would love to pay you to be sponsored in your podcast, to be spoken about in your content. And so, I did ads in 2006, 2007, and 2008. I did lots of ads.
Yeah, let me clarify. I was not against them at all. And I was certainly ready to go after them, but I wasn't chasing them. To me, I had other things in mind where I could make a better living. The ad space has paid really well over the years, and then some years not hardly at all. I mean, it goes up and down. You can't trust a brand. They'll fire you in a second.
Yeah.
So I never leaned on brands at all or ads. I just it's done well. I mean, it's bought a couple of motorcycles and a house and a motorhome or so, and it's fine. But I had different ideas, so I was open to it. But there was a very militant crowd out there that if you ran an ad, they didn't. Yeah, you remember them, right? They were not nice.
They and it was like a turf war. I mean, I've never been in a city where they have gangs, and the Crips or the Bloods, or I don't understand that world other than what I've seen fictionalized on television about it and in movies. But I very much saw it in the no ads purist podcast people and the people who are like, no, let's all agree on the official I don't even remember the IAB, the Internet Advertiser Broadcast Consortium. Let's all agree how we track ads or downloads, and let's bring this in and get standards involved here. And boy,
it was a mess then. It's a mess now.
I saw people who I'm like, I am really good friends with this person. I'm really good friends, and these two people hate each other and do not have anything nice to say. It was interesting back in the day.
It was interesting that, I mean, even podcasters, because we didn't have we were on Podcast Alley and things like that, guessing our downloads. And we'd hack each other's feeds and we'd do, and we could, I'd go get every single domain I could around somebody else's podcast to steal their traffic. And it was pretty, eventually we grew out of it, I think, but it was the Wild West for sure. I think I was like you as well. I had to pay my bills, and I was already freelance at the time. I had my own company, and I didn't want to do what I was doing anymore, so I had to get paid. And the ads weren't going to pay the bill back then.
Yeah.
And honestly, I never wanted to be in the ad business. I still don't want to be in the ad business. I do what I do because I like to do it. And when you sell ads, you're in the ad business. And if you've ever been in the ad business, it's not a nice business.
Yeah.
It's a very ruthless, cutthroat business. I just didn't want to do that. So I went kind of the route like you did. I went the more of the membership and course route. That's kind of how I did it.
Yeah, I eventually did the membership route. We created something called the GSPN.TV Plus membership. You pay $10 a month, and you would get password protected feeds that are your user ID, and you could put it in all your podcast directories and podcatching software, and we'd give you all this extra content that's not available to the public. So while some people would get a show once a month for a show that we've never done before, we would actually produce an episode for that show every week for the people who were Plus members. And so we dabbled with all of that. Eventually, though, for me, my own journey is when people started saying, Cliff, can you teach us how to podcast? I'm like, okay. This was my first foray in a product or service that I could offer online. And I realized, wow, I'm making a whole lot more money teaching people how to podcast and doing coaching at first one-on-one and then in group coaching. It's like the amount of time and effort spent managing the PHP software that I personally created to do the membership, because this is back in 2007.
I know, man. We did it too.
It was all hand-coded stuff. And the amount of time working with advertisers, like I just shut down all the ads, shut down all the membership, and gave all of our content away for free. And I just started to monetize through my own products and services as a coach, consultant, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's once you learn to do that and you get that figured out. I mean, the dollar figures are so much higher. It's so much more satisfying. It's so much more consistent. I mean, I always had from the day one, I said, we used to call it continuity. It's now MRR. We all know that now, right? So I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it a membership, you have to think about nowadays. If you see a premium podcast now that offers, you pay them $3 or $4 a month for that. I mean, we were charging $20 a month, but I was probably one of the first to do it. I used the company, I think it was called, I forgot. I think it seemed to be called A-Member, I think it was software.
Oh, yeah, I remember A-Member.
And I shot them an email one day. I said, can this protect the podcast feed? And they said, no. And I looked at it, I said, I don't know that much about coding, but I think it'll work. And I ran for the next 10 years on that software, and I could protect my feed. So my ability to not be a coder, but to look at it and just get it online and get it working. And let me tell you what happened. That made that's how I made I got to $150K a year on that software.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And I launched it was an interesting time when I decided to go that route, when we turned this into an actual money-making machine. So yeah, but I remember all that. It was quite crazy. It's quite crazy.
So you threw out a term there that maybe not everyone is familiar with, but you said MRR, monthly recurring revenue. Mm-hmm. So that's where you were doing your membership. And your membership, what did it include back in the day when you first launched it? What were the benefits of membership?
It was interesting. The Daily Boost podcast that I have now, that still runs today, started as it started really for one reason. Well, I guess two reasons. The first one was I recognized that doing the fitness podcast that most people needed some mindset work, and that I only had them on the fitness. They're at the gym 3 times a week maybe, but they were living life the rest of the week. So I decided to do the Daily Boost, and I started on a Monday, and I think I just did Mondays for a while, which is really weird to call it the Daily Boost. But one day I said, well, let's make it 5 days a week, but I'll sell the other 5. And I'll put that in there. That's what we had there. So you'd get Monday for free, a freemium product. Yep. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you get it for paid. Well, I had to have something else in it to have it make sense. So I said, well, okay, let's make a course. And this is a little behind the scenes. Let me tell you the whole story of this, because it's a neat story, and I think there's a lot of lessons in this. When I finally launched it and got the Daily Boost going and decided to launch this thing, This was a very particular day in 2006. It was Labor Day of 2006. And I launched it. I was moving out of my house that day, and my wife had been sick. And that evening, after moving out of the house, we launched the podcast. I think I had maybe 30 people gave me $20 to do the monthly thing. I just launched it. I put everything in a box and was moving to a new house. That evening, my wife got sick and dehydrated in the hospital. And overnight, we found out she had terminal cancer. And
wow.
she had had it before, but it had come back. And she had a very limited time to live. It turned out to be 100 days. So this arrives that day. And so I'm trying to figure my life out. And everything is crazy. And I made a kind of a key decision. First one was, okay, I can't do this podcast. I can't charge you. I'll give your money back if you want it, but I'll be back. She's going to die. So I'll be back. And the other thing was I decided to keep doing the weekly podcast and keep them updated from what was happening for free. I decided to do that. So the Saturday show always showed up, and I was here. I was in Costa Rica, wherever I had to go to get her treatment. I took my microphone, I did my podcast, and I shared it all over the world as I tried to save her. And it was just really kind of a crazy moment that went on for 100 days until she passed away. And I shared the last little bit of information about, okay, she's gone, celebration of life. Give me a couple weeks and I'll come back. And my wife had told me at the time, she had said, what are you going to do when I die? And I said, I guess I'll do what I was doing. And she said, well, do what makes your heart sing and go do the podcast. And so I took a little bit of a break, and I got my head together, and I launched. I launched in 2007, first day of 2007, the Daily Boost full time. And then I had an issue because about 5 or 6 weeks later, this is really bad. Please forgive me on this one. My late wife's best friend called, and she's checking on me, and she was on eHarmony that night. And I said, hey, what are you doing? She's on eHarmony. And I offered to do her personality profile to help her get a man, which got her married, by the way. But when I signed out, eHarmony said, get your free personality profile myself. I wasn't thinking about a woman at all. And so I filled it out, and I met like 100 women over the next week, including the one I'm married to today. But I met her way too early, way too soon. But Cliff, I had a problem now. I now didn't have a business. I had 30 people who gave me $20. I had given up most of my work. I had a bunch of equipment. I had a concept. I had a bunch of fans waiting for me to get my act together. I've been sharing my story for 100 days. The most emotional and vulnerable I could ever been in my whole life was out on the podcast. I was connecting in ways that you couldn't pretend to do that. I didn't know it. I was just doing my thing. But I had a problem. I had this beautiful woman. I had to figure out how to keep her. So I was honest with her. I said, listen, I don't have any money now, but I think I'll make money. I'll be fine. And I got to it. And as we got more serious, I said, I need to make some money out of this thing. And so I decided to turn into the program into a membership site. But the way I decided to do it was a little bit different. There's a guy, he's still around today. I think he was Alex Mendozian is his name.
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Instant teleseminars or something like that.
He did the postcard thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so I looked at that. I didn't buy anything from him. I just stole all the free stuff like everybody else does. But I figured out something. I figured out that I needed to make a course or something. And so I made something called the Start Moving, Stay Moving program. And what that was a 30-day fitness program that was a morning, midday, and evening, about an 8 or 9 minute program throughout the course of the day. I do about 9 minutes at a time. Nothing for me to do that. I took a couple of years worth of podcasts and simply reformatted them into these shows that I needed and re-recorded them. And I put a price of it about $49. I said, when you join my Start Moving, Stay Moving program, it's $49 if you can buy it. But if you'll just join my membership site, it's only $19.95. So over 2 months, you just pay that. And the psychology behind it was, well, it's a 30-day program. I'll just pay them $19.95 and cancel. That was the psychology. So they thought they were getting a deal. Mm-hmm. We had 1,000 people come in about 3 days at $20 a month. Instantaneously, just like that, we were rolling, and it never went back. We were $10K a month that fast, and I think that's how we paid for our wedding, as I recall. I think that's how we did that.
Wow!
But that's how the business got going, and how it actually became commercially viable. And that original membership site, we just shut it down. It's had a different variations over the years. It began to slow down during COVID when podcasting became a bit of a commodity, and I just decided not to go that route anymore. So I shut it down completely about a year and a half ago. Walked away from it.
What's the business model look like today if that's not the primary thing or or one of the key ingredients anyway?
Yeah, these days it's it's not a key ingredient at all. We still have the bit of the ad model that goes on, but again, I don't count on that much. We, along with ads, we take advantage of the Spotify network and let them insert on us, and we don't have to work for that. They just put the ads in for us, and we make money on that. On the actual coaching side, I do very limited but very high ticket private coaching.
Yeah.
When I say high ticket, it's going to be probably, I think the lowest I have is about $2,500 a month. And I don't carry too many people, about 5. I've got a lower ticket, it's $297 a month program called Face Your Passion that we run about 30 people in that one. And that's really nice. And that's really consistent. And then I have an inner circle that is running, I think it's 12,000 a year. And I run anywhere between 18, 20 people in that, depending on how many people are, it flows, it goes in and out, depending on when they come in and out. That's the model. And when I put the model together, all the pieces together, it's a nice living. I've never been a guy that had to make, $1 million a year. Never. Always been a nice mid 6-figure guy. It makes me kind of happy and comfortable. I'm good there, but that's what I do. So it gives me lots of free time, lots of flexibility. I'm scheduled to work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Everything else is a day off. I never work more than about 5 hours a day. And that's the game right now.
I love it. I'm interested about your inner circle, about 18 or so people in this community that are paying you approximately $12,000 a year. How often does that community meet, and what's that format look like?
Less and less and less than you would ever think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not surprising you when I say that, is it?
No, it's not surprising to me at all.
Not at all.
The people who are able to invest in high ticket offers find a way to get a great return on their investment with a very little amount of time, and more access to more meetings is a deterrent rather than something that's interesting for them.
It really is. And when you get the right person, the right fit client, and you're speaking to them directly, and you toss a number out like $1,000 a month, they don't blink at all.
Yep.
They don't blink. And plus, the reason people quit of any coaching program you do or any consulting program, they quit because they run out of money. Because if it means something to them and they have the money, they're fine. But if they don't have enough money, or they lied to you, and they do, if they're running up their last credit card expecting this to save their life, you don't want them.
Right.
So I filter them. Yeah, you know that. I filter them out and make sure they know. And it's a hell yes or a hell no, right? It's one or the other. And if you get the right person, actually, this is the way it works. If you seed your podcast right, and you are deep in what you're doing, and you're transparent, they understand you know your stuff, really proving you know your stuff, give them the best stuff you can on the podcast, so they go, my gosh, what does he know beyond that? They kind of call you up and say, hey man, tell me about this. How do we get in this group? And then I say, well, I got to get on a call with you because I got to make sure you're a good fit for the group. And I totally mean that, because I am not going to mess my group up for somebody who wants to get in there. And so they have to go through these hoops to do it, but they just do it. So, but to answer your question about the deliverable, there are 2 keys, I think, 3 keys. One is, I call it guided coaching. It's very much a facilitated group. It's not a mastermind group. I don't expect people to show up in mastermind. I don't expect them to have to contribute. I expect me to run it, them to learn something, them to build a community, to get their questions answered. We'll hot seat, we'll do stuff like that, get to know each other, but I'm putting on the show for them. I'm making sure this delivers to them. So it's 75 minutes to 90 minutes a week, once a week. They show up for that. I run this facilitated call. I facilitate call very upbeat. I genuinely drive the group. If you've never driven a group before, if you haven't had success at it, it's probably because you're not driving it like a cheerleader on the sidelines, pushing it, or a coach, right? So I push it real hard for about 90 minutes, and then they go away. If they need to talk to me, they can send me an email. That's fine. They do get an onboarding call when they come on board. It's about a 90-minute call, so I can see what their goals are, what they want to do. So I'm aware of that. And then they get some check-in calls if they need it, but very little. And honestly, here's another inside secret a lot of people wouldn't know. I could offer people an hour-long coaching call every single month as a bonus, and 90% of them will never take you up on it.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know that. They just don't. They don't need it. They'll call you if they need you.
Yep.
Here is the biggest key, and I don't know if you do this or not. I've done this forever. This is my number 1 retention key. My retention, even if we don't do a contract. You have to do it. I don't take advance pays or full pays. I don't like full pays because it's not MRR. Plus, clawbacks and chargebacks and that stuff is too much of a hassle. I just take monthlies, and I figure if I take a monthly payment and I super serve them, I have skin in the game too, as do they, and we need to stay happy. My retention is minimum. We start at 10 months. They just stay naturally there. And then they keep staying. I have clients right now I've had for 8 years that, full pay clients every month. 8 years long because of retention. But one of the keys I do to get the retention, I make it easy for them. It's an hour and a half a week. It's facilitated. I'm taking them on a journey. I know what they need to accomplish. I'm coaching them, making sure they get there. I'm facilitating the community, and I give them a private RSS feed of all recordings.
Oh, I like the private RSS feed.
Let me tell you what happens here. High-end clients don't have time to sit down and watch a video.
Yep.
They don't do it. So I started this years ago, and I just surveyed my guys last week. I said, okay, who's reading my transcription? Nobody.
Yep.
Good, gone. Who's watching my videos? Not really. Who's listening to the RSS feed? Every hand goes up.
Yep.
So that's what I do. So I take the audio. I actually still post the video. Some people like to do it sometimes, so I do that. But transcriptions are gone. Summaries are gone. They're too smart to deal with that. They have a question, they send me a question. But the RSS feed, the private feed like that, is so quick and easy, and man, do they ever value it. And that becomes their podcast of choice because they're paying for that. They're invested in that.
Scott, I love that. And I just want you to know, I've been doing mastermind groups forever. And I had gotten to the place where I was taking the recording of the Zoom call, and sometimes it would start recording before everybody showed up, and I'd chop that off and have to wait for it to upload and to process before I sent the link out. I can tell you right now, I'm gonna take the audio and put it into an RSS feed inside of Kajabi and give the people the link to. Yeah, that's amazing. So
it works. I still do the other. And I take a step when I do the video. We drop it into. I use DaVinci Resolve. We drop it in there. We clean the end and we produce the beginning and the end, just canned opening, just to make it look slick. And like, again, we try to rate. Most people will just take a raw Zoom file and just post it. And now you're waiting for 3 minutes for it to start. It's always there's some small talk at the beginning. You never quite get your good start because we're a comfortable group of people. So I've got to get them rallied, right?
Yeah.
So I take the slop off of the beginning to the end. I don't edit anything else, and I put an open and close on it, and I upload that. So they get a finished product. It takes about 45 minutes to do that. So if they go to the video, it's a fully produced finished product worthy of their monthly pay. It's not just I just hack it and send it to them. And then the other side of it, the audio from that, which has now been fully produced with opening and closing music, is what goes on the RSS feed. So it's a completely produced product that feels like it was intended just for them.
Yeah. So you are doing both, though. You are actually still producing the video.
I have to make the videos anyway to get the audio. I mean, I've got to take the video down. I've got to process it somehow to pull the audio, right?
Yep.
And I don't like Zoom audio. I mean, if you set up your cloud right, you can get a really you can get a nice sound from it. Pretty good. But I'll pull that down. I throw it into a video editor. I quickly clean it up and I export the audio and the video separately.
Yep.
And that's it. But the audio is so easy. It's easy.
Oh, I know. I'm a audio first advocate, and I prefer audio only most of the time when I'm creating content these days.
If I were to do it just audio, and I believe in it, if I were to do just audio and didn't have Zoom going already as it was, I would probably run it all audio right into Audition, have a purely clean sound.
Yeah.
And I'd do it that way and be done.
I've already decided, even before you said that, I also still produce the video for my next level mastermind. I'm just going to tell people, say, unless you do a screen share during our session, everything's gonna be released as an audio recording. It'll be in the podcast feed. And what I'll do is in the event that somebody does a screen share, which means or I'm holding up something in the video, and I'll make a note. It's like, okay, if you want to see this, I have the video in my Dropbox, and the link to the shared video is going to be in the show notes of the podcast episode. So
I have a better idea, man. First off, don't hold anything up. Just don't show them anything. That's the first thing. If you're going to show them something, just become a play-by-play announcer, become a radio guy, and describe exactly what you're doing. Produce it for audio, not video, because everybody gets on camera and they forget the audio people. Produce it for audio. Describe everything. And then I tell people, so I don't even accommodate, if they share a screen, that's editing. I'm not going to go edit and put the screen share in there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to describe it, but I'm not going to do it. They're going to get the gallery. That's what they're going to get. And I'm not going to give them anything else. It's going to take me too long to do it, so they don't get it. So I tell them, if you want to do that, watch it live so you can see it, because I'm not going to give you that. And here's the thing. I think I was going to say 1% of the people ever ask for it. It's not even 1%. They don't care.
Yeah.
My wife had this wonderful wisdom of the wife the other day when I'm having the same conversation with her about this stuff, about what to do. And she says to me, well, if they already showed up, why would they have to watch the replay. So I've got like 100% show rate. And the people who don't show up, they're busy after their vacation. They're not going to go back and watch this stuff. They're just not going to do it. So it's not even an issue. And I find if you get somebody who makes it an issue, if you give them something they don't necessarily need, that's the issue for cancellation. That's the thing they put up there. I never use it anyway. You post it all the time, but I don't ever use it. They'll quit when they see that. So just don't give it to them.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is inside stuff here. I need to stop and giving away all my secrets.
Oh yeah, of course. That's what we do, isn't it? So
yeah, I don't. My mouth runs until it doesn't. That's all.
So Scott, who are you hosting your files with these days?
I'm Megaphone.
Okay.
Right now. Yeah.
So what is it that you like about Megaphone that made you choose them over the others? Is it dynamic ad insertion? What other features do you love about Megaphone?
Well, Megaphone is enterprise. They're a little bit of a mess right now, I think, with their Spotify integrations, and because they are Spotify owned. Okay. So there's some changes going there. So to answer your question, I've been on them about 6 years now. Mike Carruthers, who does the Something You Should Know podcast, is a buddy of mine, and they were on Megaphone, and he said, dude, you got to go on Megaphone. You can make a lot of money. And so I went on Megaphone because at the time I could go enjoy. I had so many downloads anyway because we do about 3 million a year, and I could go on Megaphone and flip the switch, and Spotify starts giving me money. Mm-hmm. So that's why I went there initially. And a lot of the major agencies are going to be on Megaphone or Simplecast or Art19 is pretty heavy right now. Art19 had some issues over because they shut down Art19 and put it into Audible these days. So there's been a bit of a change in ad flow there. But I went basically to Megaphone because of that. But at the end of the day, they do everything I need them to do. It's very consistent. There are some, we can go to tech stack and how the ads flow. And we're running not only direct sell ads, we're running network ads, Vast tag ads, Vastar. We've got those as well. And Megaphone throws up some problems with that. You have other choices now. You've got Red Circle and a lot of others that I think do just fine.
Gotcha.
What are you using?
Believe it or not, I'm actually hosting all of my podcasts. There are just over 55 different shows, all of them hosted on Kajabi.
I believe it. I looked at that too.
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah. You know what? It's pretty captivating.
Yeah. The only thing there, the only thing with Kajabi is they were so hyper excited about this product when they brought it in. It was one of their development cycles. And I don't know, something was going on in the leadership behind Kajabi because out of nowhere, it just the development of the actual product of podcasting completely stopped. And so you can't put an image inside of your show notes. You can't design your podcast page to have a sidebar, no email opt-in form embedded in it. I mean, it is crazy. And I told him, I said, I can't even use this unless you put the 301 redirect in. They did actually go in and pull a developer off of another team and put that in. I said, I won't use this product, and I won't tell anybody about this product unless you do that.
Yeah, I checked it out. We came off, I was on Infusionsoft stack for a long time, and I was running everything off of that, and decided to get off them when they were sold. And that meant I had to go in the marketplace and find a new place to put my stuff. And I checked out Kajabi, and there were just a couple things in there that just stopped me. I'm not a big course guy. I do mostly live, and so I'm not going to make a course. There are very few things I hate so much as making a course. I'll talk to you all day long. I'll coach you all day long. I'll teach you a ton of stuff, and that's my gift. My gift is not sitting down and making stuff for you. And so I look at Kajabi, and then I looked at the podcast side of it too. And having been in the business for a long time, I saw a lot of the same trips that you saw, that if I get in, I'm going to be stuck. I'm not going to be able to make it work. So I didn't go. So that's why I stay where I am right now. I'm on for my private stuff. I'm on Hello Audio, and they're great.
Nice. I just developed a really great relationship with the both co-founders of RSS.com. They've got a pretty interesting business model that is incredibly affordable for the indie podcasters out there. I have a good relationship with Buzzsprout and looking into what they're doing. Of course, Mark Asquith has Captivate, which is very good looking as far as the options. The options that are available today are awesome compared to what we had back in the day. If you had anything back in 2007, 2008, I think we had Libsyn was the only option, and Blueberry. So
I was on both.
Yep.
Yeah, I was on them both for a long time. At this day, typically there's so many good options now, and I'll check them out occasionally. That's not where I don't do a lot of that anyway. I'd probably call you and say, what do you use?
Yeah.
Because I just don't do that. If I had a client ask for it, and I have one right now that's going to be asking, I don't know where to put them. I'm not going to put them on Megaphone. A lot of times what I will do if I have a client just getting going, and my clients that are doing podcasting are actually more business clients, and we're kind of stitching the entire thing together for them, and the podcast is just part of it. And a lot of times I'll put them on Megaphone with me. I'll host their podcast right there and just get them going. It's easy. They don't have to worry about it. We're up and running. And then, 6 months down the road when they want to move, they just move it.
Yeah, just do a 301
That's been really
redirect.
easy for me to do.
Just do a 301 redirect when they want to move it.
Yeah, and it's just, and sometimes people fight me on it and say, why would you fight me? I can have you set up in 15 minutes and we're good and we'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
That's what we do there. But yeah, some of the other ones out there, really nice setups, really nice embeddable players. A lot of them are embedding ads in there. Some of the programmatic stuff that they're embedding in terms of commercials, they just don't pay a lot of money. And if you don't give me a reasonable amount of money for an ad, I'm not going to bother my customer with it. You give me enough money, I guess I'll bother my customer. I guess that's what I'm saying. But, right now I just read today, the average true crime podcast is 34% ads now. It's way too much.
I just saw that. Yes.
Third of the show is ads.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah.
It's gonna kill podcasting if they're not careful.
1 minute of advertising for every 2 minutes of audio. That is ridiculous.
Crazy.
Of course, the person who wrote that article, they created what is it called? Ear something? Have you
I forgot
heard of
what
it?
it was.
I've got it right here.
Yeah, it came out this morning. I read the news
Earsay.
this morning.
So it's EARSAY, the Earsay app, $7.99. And I already paid the premium because there's a handful of podcasts that I do want to listen to from time to time. And I love it because it uses the iPhone's onboard intelligence to find ads in the show, and it automatically skips the ads.
It skips the ads, yeah. Boy,
I love it.
Dude, you're just going to help bring down the whole industry. Yeah.
That's great.
How do we get paid if you don't run ads? That one and the other one I saw the other day, it's called Podbrain, where they're taking the top 100 podcast and doing basically cliff notes, if you will. And you pay a $15 monthly subscription, and so you can listen to get all of Huberman's stuff every 4-hour show. You just read through it.
Yeah.
And I know they're not getting paid for it. I'm looking at the whole thing. The whole world's just it's harder and harder to control your IP. That's for sure. And particularly when you got a guy who teaches podcasting and talks about ads and he's skipping ads, I don't even like you anymore.
Well, I haven't done an ad in my podcasts in 15 years. So ever since I learned that I could earn an income far greater than ads could ever do, I haven't touched an ad inside of my podcasts. I'll
be honest with you. I've been very close to pulling the ads off mine. Very close.
And
because I look at the revenue at the end of the year and it's like, it's good. I mean, it's not, my wife's like, you do know how much we pay with that, right? I said, yeah, but it's kind of a pain just to manage that revenue stream in the business.
Yep.
It's just when you're in a different business. You're in the ad business. And sometimes if you want to be in the coaching business, or heaven forbid, you want to make a good podcast and spend time promoting or producing your podcast, because my podcasts are longer these days. It's taken me a little bit more time to do them now than it has for a while. I'm kind of iterating right now into something a little bit different, a little more modern that's working really well. And so it's taken me more time to produce a great show. It's like, man, I want to focus on that, not ads,
Yeah. I haven't monetized a single video on my YouTube channel. I don't have any ads in any of my podcasts. I pay YouTube $15, $18 a month so I don't see ads in anybody else's YouTube channel. I hate ads. I'll pay the extra Netflix fee so I don't get the ads. If I never see another ad in my life, I will be okay.
All right. Well, so so giving you enough grief, I pay to get rid of a lot of ads. Not on podcasts though. I take the podcast ads. Largely, I take ads on YouTube, and the reason I do is it keeps me informed about what's going on in the marketplace. I see the ads, and so I'll go along with that. So it's a decision. But no, I'm like you. I will if I really want something, I'll get rid of them.
Yeah.
I listen to my own show without ads. It's awesome. A lot of people don't know this. When you're when you're one of my inner circle or private client, you're in that level a little bit. I get retention there too, because I have a commercial-free daily boost feed that only they get. And if they stop being a client, they lose that. They start getting commercials again. So it's kind of a little bit of a painful disconnect. So, but it works. I do it because I really don't want my guys having to listen to 2 minutes of ads just to get to me.
So, Scott, you're doing this daily boost. How many days a week is your show now? Is it 7 days a week, 5 days a week? We've
always done 5. Yeah.
Okay, so you're still doing 5. Are you batch processing these?
I did. I've done both over the years. I could batch process. I've done up to 3 or 4 weeks in advance. I got all my notes. I have my notes all the way back to 2008. I don't do really scripting, but I've got great bullet points and all the way back. And so, it's kind of cheating. If I want to, I can just go pull some from 2015 and make a new show out of it if I want to. But I just recently began to change. I wanted to change it up. I changed my theme music. I was feeling trapped. I was not happy doing the show. I was very much stuck in a certain kind of show. And what I didn't know was my audience was feeling it as well. They felt me being trapped but they wouldn't say anything. They love me. They're not going to tell me, Scott, stop it. So finally I kind of hit the wall. I said, okay, guys, so here I go. This is about a month ago I started doing this. And I changed my theme music, and I got really mad because nobody told me they liked it or hated it. Nobody got back to me. And so one day I said, guys, I'm sitting here in this little studio. You got to reward your podcaster. I'm not going to sit here and talk to you and you not talk to me. And I went at him. And I had them come at me and tell me if they liked the music or not. And predictably, it was all over the place. Yeah. Ultimately, I kept because people don't actually know what they want or like. They really don't. It's like they say about Henry Ford. If they knew what they wanted, they'd want a faster horse, not a Model T. So I don't typically go out and survey a lot of people. I tend to pay attention, on kind of a very macro level and kind of see what I'm feeling out there. At some point, the creator has to trust the creator and trust to create for the listener. And I just knew it was right. But then I did a show. I went from 9 minutes to 6 minutes for like a week. And I said, well, heck, I'm not going to, because everybody's telling me, hey, you're talking about yourself too much. You're taking too long to get to the hook. You're not getting in fast enough. You're not boom, 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 boom. And finally I said, I don't want those people anyway. I'm sorry. I just don't want them. Yep. No. Scott does a show. You're going to get to know Scott. So I didn't like 6 minutes. So I came back the next week and I did one was 27 minutes. And I went at it. And I was playing theme music in the background. It was kind of cool stuff. And I had a good time. Good show. I came out of that and went, I don't know, that's not my thing. But by the next Monday came around, I hit a format that I liked. And I arrived at about 15 minutes. And what I found 15 minutes was, it was enough for me to get in, to have a nice upbeat open, to be friendly, to connect with you, have a little coffee, break bread as we get in, to tell you how to contact me, to start my thoughts into it. And that left me about maybe 12 minutes of actual teaching and story time. And I found, for me personally, in the words that I have and the way I tell stories, 12 minutes is about when I run out of words and I have to start a whole new section. 12 minutes is about where you know what I'm saying when I say that?
Yeah.
A television show, it could be like 6 or 7 minutes, which is the original format I did, was based on like a 5.5, 6 minute segment on a TV show, enough for a beginning, middle, and an end. But as I wanted to go deeper, and in podcasting these days, if you're too superficial, it's not going to work. People want to know how you're thinking, and they want to learn from it. And the reason is because ChatGPT and Claude is out there, and they can get these answers anyway.
Yeah.
So if I don't give them enough time and attach it to story and emotion and take them through the process and really just get into them, they're not going to like me. My number is between 14 and 15 minutes. The audience loves the length. And I honestly, about 14 and a half, I just kind of run out of words. And I used to have a big closing to the show. Oh, all right, come on, check me out here. Now I just say, actually, I think the other day I said, I think I'm done. See you tomorrow. That was it.
I like those.
Yeah. And so that's what it's become. And the other thing that I made is I actually went back to doing the shows, producing the shows within usually about 12 hours of release. So I release at midnight every night. And, it's not 12 hours, a little bit more than that. Sometime 9, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, I'll record the show. And the reason I do that is I went back to my radio roots. Because when you pre-produce, you're like a Hollywood game show. You're producing a year in advance. And you have to pre-produce everything. You got to plan it all out. And that's just a ton of work. And you're missing the gold of a podcast. The gold of a podcast is hearing from your audience, is topically seeing what's happening. Oh, it's cold here, or there's politically something going on. When you can tap in 12 to 15 hours before the show is recorded and be right there with them,
yes,
you're really relevant and topical to them. And I've learned that in personal growth, which is what I'm doing on this show, I mean, come on, it's all over the place. Every TikTok channel is motivation. And so for me to actually score a win, I've got to go a whole lot deeper and be right in their life every single day. And this week I've been going, it's so cold from all the weather. And people are sending me pictures of them in the snow. Yeah. And they're connecting with me again. So that's what I'm doing every day now. So I do 2 on Thursday. And but I have been known that if I miss the mark on the Monday show, if like I recorded on a Thursday and the Monday's not quite where I wanted to be because something changed over the weekend, you'll see me here at 3 p.m. on a Sunday re-recording the show.
Yeah.
Because the audience wants that feel that I can give them.
There are two things that you said that really struck a chord. The first one is you talked about people don't know what they like and the Henry Ford quote. There's a Howard Thurman quote that I really like when it comes to this topic of, I got to find what works for me.
Yeah.
Howard Thurman said, don't ask the people what they want. Instead, ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what most people actually no, the quote is actually, don't ask what your audience needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. Because what people need most are people who are fully alive. And so that you need to find that format for you that makes you fully alive. And the second thing that you said that really resonates with me is there have been a number of times when, I'm committed. Right now I do 2 shows every single week. The Cliff Ravenscraft show is every Monday morning, Podcast Answer Man every Friday morning. And my shows are about an hour to an hour and 27 minutes every week. Mm-hmm. And for me to keep that up, there have been times where I'm like, you know what, I think I need to batch process and record a couple things. But every now and then, if I'll get 2 or 3 episodes in the can, I'm like, there's something I need to talk about. And this next episode that's scheduled isn't it. And this, and eventually I'll just take those things I pre-recorded and just toss them to the side because it seems like they're they're no longer relevant.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. It happens. That's why I record on a Sunday. Sometimes I redo it.
Yep.
I've just learned. I mean, see, radio people, real radio people, and there's still some out there these days. They know how to engage that audience like nobody else because they're live every day, and that's why they do it. So there's pre-recorded parts. I mean, I have pre-recorded parts I throw into things when I need to. The other thing I learned that's really interesting is I was so stuck in giving my audience the format that I thought they wanted.
Yeah.
I was so stuck in that, and I can show you the feedback. And they were saying, hey, Scott, just do what you want to do. We love you anyway. Just if you want to do it this way, you want to do it that way. And they'll say, well, don't stay there too long. Come back to this. But we don't care. And they don't care. What they want is me. Listen, man, I talk fast. I can get my words messy sometimes. I might say a nearly dirty word. I'll probably make you a little uncomfortable. I might tiptoe into political land a little bit and just to scare you a little bit, then come back out of it. I don't know what I'm going to do, but what I know is this. When I do that, we succeed. The downloads go up. Everything goes better when I'm in that mode. When a good part of my audience is asking me, what am I doing, and doesn't like me because of it, I'm probably doing the best show I can possibly do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be as good as it can be. I know that now. For you guys starting out with podcasting, don't overthink it. Do what we're doing here. Get the energy up. Go after it. Be yourself, that elevated version of it. And I know this. I can try as hard as I want right now to do a podcast, and it's not going to make it any better or any worse than the one I did yesterday.
Absolutely. Somebody said the other day, Cliff, I gave up my podcast after 13 years because I just figured it takes too much time and it's too expensive. And I'm like, wait a second. You did 223 episodes over 13 years, and you then decided that it takes too much time. Like, did you not notice this after the first 38 episodes, how much time it takes to produce a podcast? You just decided to do 200 more just to be sure.
Yeah. It's so funny because I had an interesting experience. I'm a little bit older than you, although you look older than me with your beard these days.
Yeah.
But look at that, man. I tried. I showed you the picture of me with my beard. I couldn't do it. But I had a really interesting epiphany. So I didn't know a legacy I was going to have was to be a podcast dinosaur. I did not know that. You're a podcast legend. I'm a podcast dinosaur. I did not know that Daily Boost would be something that we now have people that are in college who grew up with me in the car with their mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And they send me notes and they send me pictures of their babies. They get married. They send me this stuff. I never thought about that. All I knew, I showed up. I said, what do they need today? Let's do it how Scott would do it. Love me, hate me. I'll do what I do. And suddenly 20 years go by and I'm still doing it. And now I can't imagine not doing it. I almost retired it a year ago. I almost did. I'd lost my spark a bit and I had to find my way. So the reinvention, the identity shift here in the past year to get me inspired again kind of came. But what happened was I got a little older. I turned 65 and nobody would guess it except for the gray hair. But what happened was I did not know what to do with myself because everybody was saying, well, you're going to retire? And I thought, well, I retired 25 years ago when I started my podcast. I did. I went to doing whatever I want to do. I went to the freedom lifestyle everybody says they want. I did it. I still do it. So what do I retire to? A corporate job? It was weird. And then one day I was watching a YouTube video and there's a gentleman, I don't remember who he was. He had his channel. He had recently retired. And he was there on his YouTube channel to announce the fact that he was going to follow a lifelong dream and start a podcast and start helping people and having impact around the world. I said, well, wait a second. I guess I'll just keep going.
I love that.
That's what I've been doing. So yeah, my joke these days is, particularly now I'm recording like 15 hours in advance. I mean, if I never show up, you'll probably figure I died 15 hours earlier. That's probably what happened.
That's hilarious. Scott, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience over these 20 plus years. It is an honor to communicate with you once again and to reconnect. And just tell folks where they can find you and the Daily Boost and anything else you want to share with them.
Yeah, pretty easy stuff. The best way is go check out the podcast and listen to the darn commercials, okay?
If you don't want removes them.
That's right. So go to dailyboostpodcast.com or search anywhere you get your podcast. Daily Boost and Scott you're going to find me someplace. You can get me on, I'm on Instagram these days at Hey Scott Smith over there. You want to email me, Scott@dailyboostpodcast.com. I think it's a great place to start. You can find me from there. And if you decide you want to do something else or have questions, just reach out through one of those channels and I'll get back to you pretty quick. I like hearing from people.
One last question.
Yes, sir.
Is your podcast audio only?
Yeah. It's been both. It is currently. It needs to be video. I've got the whole setup.
What?
Hang on.
Why? Tell me more.
Are you sure you want to go there?
Yeah, if you've got the time.
I've got the time.
All right, tell me why it needs to go video.
Discovery purposes. Discovery. It is really driving discovery. So, but here's how I would do it. This is exactly what I will do and what I will do. I will not do a Daily Boost podcast as a talking head on YouTube just by itself. I'm not going to do that. The reason I won't is because I think it's redundant. I've tested it before and we don't get a big audience there. I'm an audio guy. It's easy. I'm easier to listen to me than to look at me anyway. But YouTube is a great discovery vehicle. So here's the way to make it work. And this is what all the big guys are doing. And there's a lot of controversy about this, but it works. Little shorts, give them the little thing, little payoff on the shorts, drive it to your long form channel and let them watch the long form video. In my case, long form video is going to be a weekend show that is a complementary to the daily show.
Yeah.
Now that does a couple things. It gives them the deep form content that they need to get to know you these days. I can do an interview with you on a show like that and really, really cover a lot of bases. Plus I can, for now, throw a bunch of ads on it too. But the more I researched, the more I recognized that was the added value of content was a long form show. And let me tell you, I did something recently, and it's there on the Daily Boost podcast channel right now. It's a hit or miss channel. You can see some of the stuff I've done there. But the last thing I did was maybe 6 weeks ago, and I decided, just being a creative guy one day, I said, I'm not going to do a regular podcast. I'm going to do a recording of the podcast, and I'll call it like a behind the scenes thing. And so I came on, I recorded everything, and I set up my stream deck and everything else. And basically what I did was I start the show and I start talking to people and I have commentary and I have ideas. I go, oh, let's record a show. Let me do a show about that. I hit the button. I recorded Monday's show. Came out on Monday. I go, that was pretty good. That gave me another idea. And I start talking to them. Boom, 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 boom. Let's do the Tuesday show. Boom. And I did that for 5 shows. People went crazy. They love the format. It's behind the scenes. It's me talking, communicating. They're hearing how I'm thinking. They're seeing me push the buttons. They're seeing the show come to life, live and in person. We did so well on that show, and I love doing it, and it's very likely I'll do it again. But end of the day, we got to do what we love to do, and I love to doing audio. If you've never done audio before, I mean, Cliff, you know this. When I do audio, I'll get the headphones on, and I'm looking down right now on video. You can see I'm like thinking and talking at the same time. That's me doing audio. When you have to look up at the screen, a strange thing happens. You're distracted by the different screens around you. In a strange way, it makes me connect with the audience better because I'll talk to the camera, but it takes me out of my space that is so intimate. So to get the intimate sound and to break the fourth wall to the camera, that's hard to do. And I think I'm good at doing it, but man, just let me sit back and talk and I'm happy. So that's a long answer for you.
I love it. I love it. Scott, we could go on for hours, my friend, and I'm sure.
Yeah, we could. We're not even close to getting started. Not even close.
We will. You can listen to the full 7-hour version of this conversation on the private podcast feed
with no commercials.
With no commercials. Scott, it's a privilege, my friend, and we'll send them over there. As you said, it's thedailyboost.com.
Dailyboostpodcast.com.
Dailyboostpodcast.com. Thank you so much, and many blessings to you all. And until next time, we encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.